All right, perfectionists, we're just keep on talking about perfectionism. And there's so much that I'm learning. And I just wonder and hope and pray that what I'm sharing from my own journey connects with you in yours. In this fourth video, we're going to talk about we're going to answer this question. When does perfectionism become unhealthy, and when is wanting to do things well obeying the Lord? I mean, that's a valid question. And as a perfectionist, I ask that sometimes to validate my own striving to be perfect. Because doesn't it say in the scriptures somewhere, whatever you do, do it with all your might. Do it as unto the Lord. And so for a perfectionist, that's like, yeah, I want to do things well and perfect. But here is what I'm learning of how it teeters on the edge of unhealthy. And this is really only something that you and the Lord can define within your own heart, because on the outside, it all looks the same to us. But on the inside, only I know what the motivations of my heart is. And so this question really needs to be answered internally for you. So, and this is the verse that is my litmus test for knowing when I am on the edge of being unhealthy with my striving to be perfect. And it is Psalm 115:1, and it says this: "Not to us, Lord, not to us, but to your name be the glory." Perfectionism takes an unhealthy turn when I'm wanting to do things perfectly so I can get the glory. Now, we talked earlier about it being about validation and worth and feeling of value, and that is absolutely true in its own kind of mountain to attack. But this selfish and pride kind of undercurrent of the motivator for perfection in many ways for me is when I want the credit for something, or I want to be applauded, or I'm wanting it for my own glory and not for the Lord's. For example, hosting is a big deal for me, and it has always been. I love to host, but it stresses me out to have people over at our house. And so many times I've prevented inviting people over because this perfectionism and the striving for things to be perfect for my own glory gets in the way. But I don't even know that it's getting in the way. I just think it's a natural byproduct of hosting, but it's not. Not all people deal with this anxiety before you have people over. I've talked to so many friends and they love having people over. And I'm like, don't you stress out about it? And they say no. This is because my perfectionism begins to feed into that. And here's what happens. For the week or two prior to having people over, I make lists. I do updates to my house. I get just the right paper plates and just the right paper napkins and plan just the right menu. And it is really so that I can be praised if I have to be honest about it. And I want to be honest about it because I don't want to inhibit loving other people and making connections with other people in my home be the reason why I don't do it. So what I've begun to do, especially in this new town, is to not stress out. Oh, and here's the thing. Before the event ever happens, I'm exhausted. So when I do finally have people over, I have worked myself up in such a tizzy that I don't have any energy to be kind and connecting, because I've spent so much energy of worrying about and having anxiety about it being the perfect event. So what I am learning to do is to take Psalm 115:1 at its word and take it as the truth. And before I plan an event, and sometimes even before I invite people over, I ask the Lord and tell him, this is not for me, Lord, this is for you. And as I invite and as I plan and as I have people over, that kind of is a phrase that I say over and over and praying to him, Lord, not for me, but for you, not for me, but for you. And when I have it within that filter and I see it through that filter, the paper plates don't really matter how cute they are. They can be from the cheap section of Walmart or Aldi's. And I love Aldi's. And my pictures don't need to be hung that I've been waiting to hang for weeks. Everything doesn't need to be perfect in order to have people over, because it is for God's glory and not mine. So I hope, perfectionists, that resonates with you and maybe is a helpful reminder in a specific way of hosting, and maybe God can use it to apply it to so many areas of your life, that to use this verse, Psalm 115:1, as the litmus test. It's kind of a test to know when your perfectionism teeters on the edge of unhealthy, and really is something that will tether you down. So blessings today. I hope you have a good one.